Welcome to the 21st Century Reformation Hour. I'm Pastor Herman Otten, the editor of Christian News. Sorry we're a day or so late. We've had some really cold weather here and some ice which prevented. We won't go into all those technicalities. Our featured story this week is titled Marquardt, Not Bonhoeffer. CNN editor at Concordia University, Wisconsin. It kind of gives you a little summary of the speech that I gave there. But if you want the whole speech, it's all in this book. 322-page book, Bonhoeffer and King, which just came out, and it has the last 40 pages or so. Well, yeah, that's how many pages. It's a rather lengthy speech. Obviously, I didn't have time to go into all of it. It's in two parts. The first part was in last week's Christian News, which we passed out, and then the second part, I kind of summarized it. If you want the whole thing, it is all there. Notice the subtitle is A 50-Year Battle versus Intellectual Laziness, because just as well I've said against intellectual snobbishness. In fact, the reason we call it that is because we furnished people the evidence about Bonhoeffer and King. We sent it to the pastors, and still they claim Bonhoeffer and King were loyal Christians. The documentation is overwhelming that they simply deny the resurrection, and they are certainly, and especially King, did not, I'm not talking about Bonhoeffer, King led no moral life that we ought to tell youth to follow. Here in a little box in blue, CUW, Concordia University, Wisconsin, Statement on the Holocaust. When I began my speech, they read that off because there were representatives from the ADL there. They said they would be there, they were going to question me. Well, I didn't think they would question me. That's what happens. Whenever the ADL protests, they don't want to debate me in public. So they didn't say anything. I was all prepared for them. Had they come, I would have noted to them, here's a letter I gave to your head many years ago in the speech which you found so offensive. Here's a question. I asked a series of questions. This is the one I would have keyed in on. Do you believe that a publication which insists that Christ is the only way to heaven and that Jews, Muslims, and all non-Christians are lost if they do not convert to Christ, Christianity, is therefore part of the right-wing hate press and anti-Semitic? That's what they accuse me of. I'm on their list there. They never want to answer that question. Well, there's seven other questions. Get the issue of the paper, and then you can see why they won't challenge me to debate in public. My concluding thing was to say, all right, gentlemen, I did not come here to debate the Holocaust. I don't deny that the Nazis killed many people. But if you want to have a debate on the 6 million figure, you get your own forum, get Elie Wiesel or any scholar you have, and we'll debate it before in your forum, where that's where you want to debate. Other question, other things here. Notice this. Our lead book this week is Faith in the Freshman. Never read it before, but it was given to me by President Patrick Ferry in his office there at Concordia University. And I started to read it. I had only a few minutes before, but I read it on the plane home, and you can see my comments on it in the book here. Got a letter from President Ferry after I sent him what I was going to say. I didn't want to, get his approval. He writes, "Thanks for being here. You assembled a great crowd, and I thought the evening was engaging. It was good of you to come to Concordia. Thank you for reading my little book. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I've enjoyed telling these stories in front of lots of people. If anyone is interested, there is a website. I got the website listed in the paper. You'll get it there if you want his book. I found it very fascinating. It was light reading, but very interesting. You know, he was a basketball, you would say fanatic, but that's why he went to St. John's Winfield. The story of his life. All right, next here I have another book that was given to me, Christianity, Cults, and World Religions. That was given to me by Dr. Roland Kapp Elke, and actually went into the very room, the rare book room, in the library at Concordia University, Wisconsin, where they filmed this. Here it is, Christianity, Cults, and World Religion. We sold many copies of the first edition about 20 years ago. Here's the DVD. And if you're interested, it's for Bible class study. We showed in our own Bible class. So they said it was out of print for some time, and now he gave me another copy. Next one down here, Who Wrote the Bible? Here, I have the book here. We sell that book too at half price. Get the paper, you can find it. Who Really Wrote the Bible? You know what? Pastor Cashon tried to get the Concordia Seminary Fort Wayne to put it in their bookstore. No, it's too controversial. So I called, and they're a division of CPH, so I called up CPH, or my wife did, somebody did. No, we won't sell that book. You got to get from the publisher. That is a wonderful book. Even though it was written by two Jews, it shows you that the Bible was not written by J, E, D, and P. So, in fact, that's where I got the word 50 years of intellectual laziness, because they talk about the intellectual lazy people who refuse to study the latest scientific evidence with regard to the JETV source hypothesis. The story here on the bottom, LCMS Seminary continues to invite liberal leaders. I have a picture of the Concordia Seminary, St. Louis, the last issue of their paper, where they announced they're inviting a Walter Traeger, or Thomas Traeger, to be their main speaker for a homiletic course. It just gets me. For the last 7 years, I've had it 7 years now, every year to teach our boys how to preach, they get liberals. Liberals who deny, in this case, promotes JEDP, wants women pastors, and they belong to pro-abortion, pro-homosexual denominations. Not that they bring that in all the time. So I ask them some specific questions. What he believes on that. Of course, you get the usual runaround. I sent a letter to the faculty. I want to know who on the faculty is responsible to inviting year after year these liberals. It's horrendous. Isn't there anybody else you can invite? I mentioned Wallace Schultz. I mentioned one of the professors I met up there, Concordia University, Wisconsin. I asked, I had a dinner there with some of the professors, who's a good preacher around here? And they told me about Dr. Tim Maschke. So I have a little story on him and others in there, and they should invite him. You know, some people, I read the websites here, not too much, but about my speech there. Very few of them, the commentators, comment on my main purpose of being there, promoting a 21st century Reformation. I talked about homosexuality in the Roman Catholic Church, what's going on within all of Christendom. That people aren't interested in. They're only little picky things about how his intellectual, I'm seeing my time is running again, how his journalistic ethics are not proper. We answered that too in last week's Christian News. But anyway, I comment on that here, that CN treated kindly at CUW. I was treated kindly, believe you me. Even Dr. Berkey, who authored the book which really zaps me in certain cases, he was very kind and cordial. You know, but that's the same kind of treatment that I received years ago when I spoke all over the country. I spoke in our universities, and the students, I always have a few negative reactions. What happened when? They found out that we better not let Otten speak there. He's influencing our students. And then, of course, what happened was the conservatives who were promoting Dr. Jack Preuss, they were miffed. I was drawing bigger crowds than the president of Synod. So they got to put a stop to that. So the order went up, no, Otten is no longer to speak there. Well, you can read about there. So again, I would encourage you to get a copy of the book here that we just put out about Bonhoeffer and King. Here on Berkey's book too. I encourage you to get that book. I held that book up there. Most of them hadn't read it that day. They were surprised. Here, Otten holds up the book. Here, get the book. We sell the book. You can get a few dollars cheaper than Fortress. That is not to say that I agree with everything. In fact, we have a review of the book in here. It's called Clueless History of the Preuss-Otten Years. The author did not understand what the basic issues were. Kind of feel sorry for him. Here's what the author says here. Who won? Who won that war? Clearly, the apostates of Seminex won. Now, this is Dr. Greg Jackson, PhD, University of Notre Dame. The liberals who remained in Missouri were rewarded with the best positions, just as the signers of the statement were in the days of the past. The president's office, already under Jack Preuss, called off the war. Surrender while claiming, oh, we won. Under Bowman, Barry, and Kirchner, the conservatives were spanked, shunned, punished, and fired. So that's really what happened there. That's what this book points out, that really it was the liberals who won, even though on the surface the conservatives claimed, oh, we won. Well, God be with you. We'll see you next week.